In the fall of 2016, a seasoned hiker and outdoor guide named Daniel Griggs vanished during a solo hike through the Cascade Mountains in Washington state. What began as a rescue operation quickly turned into something else, something that authorities quietly buried under the label of unsolved. But I was there, and this is what really happened. I was one of 4 people who joined Daniel's final expedition: myself, Lena, my brother Marcus, his girlfriend Shelby, and a quiet guy named Theo, who barely said 10 words during the ride-up. Daniel had promised us an intense 3-day trek through a lesser-known trail system northeast of Mount Baker. The area was off-grid, with limited GPS coverage and no marked routes. But that was Daniel's specialty, pioneering wild hikes that stripped modern comfort away. We started our hike at dawn. The woods swallowed us almost immediately. Trees arched overhead, blotting out the early sun. Everything was quiet, unnaturally so. Not even the buzz of insects. Daniel led the way with a machete and a map he'd drawn himself. By sunset, we reached a ridge overlooking a fog-laced valley. We made camp there. Daniel walked off to scout the trail ahead. He never came back. We waited through the night, then the next morning. His pack, his map, his machete, all were left behind. It was like the forest had swallowed him whole. We debated turning back, but without Daniel or his map, we weren't even sure which way to go. Theo suggested we follow the ridge east. Daniel had said that direction led to a waterfall. The further we walked, the stranger the forest became. Trees grew at impossible angles. The bark had a grayish tone, like it had been bleached. At one point, Marcus stopped and pointed at something up in the branches. "That look like a face to you?" It did. Nestled between 2 limbs was a knot in the wood shaped almost perfectly like a human face. Deep eye sockets, a mouth open in a scream. We tried to laugh it off. That night, Shelby swore she heard footsteps circling our tents. Heavy, deliberate. I stepped out with a flashlight but saw nothing. Just fog. The next morning, Theo was gone. His tent looked like it had been unzipped from the inside. His boots were gone, but not his backpack. We called for him for hours, no reply. Then Shelby found something, a single line of bare footprints. Heading straight into the woods, we decided to keep moving east, following the ridge. Marcus figured we'd hit the waterfall and could follow the river down. We hiked until sundown, and then, just as the sky began to darken, we saw it. A cabin, old but not abandoned. Smoke trickled from the chimney. A deer skull hung above the door, and something about it felt wrong. Shelby wanted to walk past it. I insisted we knock. We needed help. An old woman answered, thin, wrinkled like bark. Her eyes were milky white, but she moved like she could see perfectly. "Y'all shouldn't be up here," she said. "Things walk these woods that don't belong." She let us in. The inside smelled of damp moss and burning pine. Strange charms hung from the ceiling. Bones, hair, twine. "3 more, huh?" she muttered, pouring tea. "They come every few years. Forest takes them, makes them part of itself." Marcus asked about Theo. The old woman just shook her head. "He ain't Theo anymore." We left before dawn. We followed the old woman's directions toward the river, but as we descended, the trail kept looping. Trees we marked reappeared hours later. At one point, we passed a cluster of rocks, stacked perfectly in the shape of a man. "That wasn't here before," Shelby said. Then she screamed. On the ground was Theo's boot. Inside it, his foot, cleanly severed at the ankle. We ran. For hours, maybe days. Time was impossible to track. The forest didn't want us to leave. At night, we heard whispers, names being called. Sometimes it was Daniel, sometimes our own voices. Then Marcus vanished. 1 second he was behind us, the next gone. Shelby broke down completely, refused to move, just sat there rocking. I left her. I didn't want to, but I was losing my mind. I don't remember how I got out. I woke up on a logging road 2 days later, dehydrated and scratched to hell. A hunter found me and called the rangers. They found no signs of Shelby, Marcus, Theo, or Daniel. I was the only one who made it back. But the dreams haven't stopped. Every night I see that cabin. I see the old woman's eyes. I hear Marcus calling my name from behind the trees. Last week I found pine needles in my bed. I live in a 10th floor apartment. The forest isn't done with me, and I don't think it ever will be. It started with a message in our hiking group chat. Who's up for Dead Horse Ridge this weekend? Forecast says clear skies. Tyler, always the adrenaline junkie, sent it. I hesitated. The name alone was unsettling. But then again, I'd never backed out before. By Friday, there were 5 of us. Me, Zoe, Tyler, Jake, Marnie, and Sarah. All experienced hikers. We tackled snow-covered trails, endured unexpected storms, and once even encountered a bear. Dead Horse Ridge didn't seem worse than any of those, at least not on paper. The trail wasn't listed on all trails or any official maps. Word of mouth stuff. An unofficial route known to locals near Gunnison, Colorado. It was rumored to be cursed. Locals claim the name came from the 1940s, when a small group of horses froze to death near the summit during an unexpected early snow. Some said you could still hear their cries echoing through the canyons. We thought it was BS. We met at the base Saturday morning. October crisp in the air, the leaves already fading to rust and gold. An old wooden sign, half rotted, marked the start. DHR, proceed at own risk. We laughed. Tyler took a selfie with it. The first leg was steep but manageable. Pines towered over us. The air smelled of sap and distant frost. No cell signal, of course. Not this deep. Sarah wore her GoPro and documented everything. It's gonna make a great vlog, she said. I watched through her lens, wondering if she'd capture something off. By noon, we reached the first ridge. Looking down, we saw where the land dropped into a jagged gorge. Marnie leaned too far over the edge, and Jake pulled her back, laughing nervously. You fall, you're gone, he said. We pressed on. By late afternoon, the trees thinned. The wind picked up, whistling low and eerie through the rocks. That's when we noticed it. Silence. No birds, no squirrels, no buzzing flies, just the crunch of our boots in the wind. It felt like the world was holding its breath. That's when Sarah tripped. She fell forward hard, her face slamming into the rocky path. Blood smeared down her cheek. You okay? I asked, rushing to her. I swear. Something grabbed my foot. We looked, just roots and dirt. Jake chuckled. Ghost horses already? Sarah didn't laugh. That night, we made camp near a flat outcropping overlooking the western slope. We shared a fire, dried our socks, and passed around whiskey. Marnie pulled out her phone to show us a downloaded map, but the screen froze, then went black. Dead battery? She shook her head. It was full this morning. Sarah tried hers. Same thing. All of us. Every single one of our devices had powered off, even ones we hadn't touched. That night, none of us slept well. Around 2:30 a.m., I woke to the sound of hooves. Not deer, not elk. Heavy hooves. They circled the tent slowly, deliberately. I froze, heart slamming in my chest. I wanted to call out, but I was afraid of what might answer. The sounds faded after 5 minutes. I didn't sleep after that. In the morning, Jake was gone. His pack was still there, his boots, but no sign of him. Just gone. We searched for hours, shouted his name, checked the ravine. Nothing. No broken branches, no drag marks, not even footprints. How does someone vanish like that? Marnie whispered. Tyler insisted Jake must have wandered off to pee and fallen, but that didn't explain why he didn't take his boots, or why he wouldn't yell for help. The air felt heavier now, like something unseen was watching us. We decided to turn back. It took us 2 hours to realize we were no longer on the same trail. We retraced our steps. The terrain had changed. Landmarks were gone. The sun didn't seem to move. Sarah's compass spun uselessly. This isn't right, I muttered. We weren't lost in the normal way. It felt like the mountain had shifted beneath us. Marnie started sobbing. We camped again that night, deeper into the unknown. The temperature dropped fast. We built a fire, but the flames burned strange. Tall, blue, and flickering like a dying breath. At some point, Sarah screamed. She pointed toward the trees. We looked, and there he was. Jake. something that looked like him. He stood at the edge of the clearing, naked, eyes wide, face pale. His mouth hung open, like he wanted to scream but couldn't. Blood dripped from his nose. "Jake," Tyler called. Jake didn't respond. He tilted his head, and then turned and walked back into the woods, vanishing behind the pines. Tyler grabbed a flashlight and chased after him. We never saw either of them again. The next morning it was just me, Sarah, and Marnie. We followed what looked like a dry creek bed. Hours passed. Hunger gnawed at us. We barely spoke. The trees became thinner, more skeletal. Eventually the creek opened into a small, sunlit meadow. That's where we found the bones. Dozens of horse skeletons, all arranged in a spiral, all facing inward. In the center, a pile of broken cameras, phones, radios, and hiking gear. Some of it rusted over. Others looked brand new. Sarah picked up a jacket. The name stitched on it read, K. Wilson. "I know that name," she said. "That guy went missing up here last year." That's when we heard the scream. It wasn't human. It was deep, guttural, wet, like metal scraping bone. It echoed across the ridge. Marnie bolted. I tried to stop her, but she tore off into the woods. Seconds later, the screaming stopped. So did Marnie's footsteps. It was just me and Sarah now. We didn't eat, just walked. The trees turned twisted. Branches curved like claws. We followed the sun, praying we were going downhill. That night, I heard Sarah whispering, not to me, to someone or something outside the tent. I crawled out and saw her standing barefoot in the cold, facing the trees. "Sarah?" I asked. She turned slowly. "I saw him," she whispered. "Jake said I can go with him now." Then she walked forward and vanished into the darkness. I screamed her name. No answer. I ran. For hours, days maybe. I slept in trees, drank from puddles. My mind fractured. Sometimes I thought I saw Tyler's face in the trees. Sometimes I heard hooves. But on the third day I found a trail, a real one, marked, well-worn, with hikers on it. I staggered out of the forest like a ghost. The rescue team said I was gone for 6 days. They found no trace of the others, not even footprints. I told them what happened. They said it was trauma, hallucinations, mountain madness. They didn't believe me, but sometimes when it's quiet, I hear hooves outside my apartment. Sometimes I wake to see dirt on my bedroom floor. Sometimes I dream of bones spiraling inward, and a face I once knew staring blankly through the pines. They say the Appalachian Trail has secrets, not the usual ones, like hidden campsites or off-the-map streams, but darker things the Park Service doesn't put in brochures. My brother Caleb disappeared there in 2019, just vanished. His last message to me read, "Found something strange near Blood Ridge. We'll check it out. Wish me luck." That was the last anyone ever heard from him. 3 years passed. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to go see for myself. I planned everything. Gear, food, maps. I'd hike the section Caleb disappeared on, a remote stretch between Hogback Ridge and Blood Mountain. Notoriously tricky, poorly marked, and avoided by most. Locals called it the Devil's Spine. I left in early October, alone, just like Caleb. The first day was smooth. Blue skies, crisp air, golden leaves crunching underfoot. I passed a few other hikers, none headed where I was going. "You're going past Blood Ridge?" one of them asked, visibly concerned. I nodded. He shook his head. "You should turn around before nightfall." I didn't. By dusk, I reached a narrow pass where the trail dipped between two towering cliffs. The wind howled like a voice trying to speak. I made camp just off the path. Around 3 a.m., I woke to a scratching sound. Something was brushing against my tent. I called out. Silence. Then I saw the silhouette, tall, thin, not human, just outside the nylon wall. I grabbed my flashlight, yanked the zipper open. Nothing. But the trees, they looked closer than before. I pressed on the next day, disturbed but determined. I reached a small outcrop with a breathtaking view of the valley and a weathered signpost buried under moss and vines. It read, "Turn back." Carved into the wood, old, jagged. A second line beneath it, fainter. "The mountain remembers." That's when I saw the first marker. A pile of stones shaped like a man, with a stick jabbed through the middle, a hat hanging from one side. Caleb's hat. I ran to it. The trail behind me had changed. The bend was gone. The trees were different. I retraced my steps. Nothing matched the map. I was no longer on the trail. That night I heard Caleb's voice. "Logan," it whispered, "come see." I told myself I was dreaming, but when I woke up, there were bare footprints around my tent and another pile of stones freshly stacked. The terrain grew unnatural. Rocks jutted like teeth. The forest was silent. No birds, no insects, no wind. Time felt bent. My compass spun. My GPS blinked dead. I spotted an old shelter in the distance. One of those lean-tos built decades ago by trail crews. I stepped inside. The walls were covered in writing, scratched in with knives, nails, claws. Names, dates, warnings. Don't listen to them. They walk at dawn. You are being watched. In the far corner, Caleb's name. Underneath it, scratched in shaky lines, "It's not the mountain. It's what lives beneath it." Something shifted outside. Heavy, slow. I didn't sleep. I wandered for 3 more days. Food ran low. Water turned bitter. That's when I found the tree. Huge, ancient, blackened by lightning. Its trunk had a hollow big enough to crawl into. Inside, bones. Hundreds of them. Not animal. Human. Arranged in spirals. Some with scraps of clothing still clinging. One still wore a hiking boot. I recognized it. Same model as Caleb's. Above the bones, the inner bark was carved with a single phrase, "They took him." I vomited. When I stumbled out, the world looked different. Shadows moved on their own. Trees bent toward me. The mountain was no longer just a mountain. It was awake. I ran. No sense of direction, just pure instinct. Every few minutes I'd hear someone call my name. Sometimes Caleb, sometimes my own voice. I saw the watchers then. Tall, pale, faceless figures with limbs like branches and fingers, too long. They didn't chase. They just watched from the tree lines. Always still. Always waiting. One night I fell asleep from exhaustion and woke up inside the hollow tree again. The bones were gone. But now the walls had my name carved in. That was the moment I knew I had to leave or I wouldn't. It took 2 more days before I stumbled onto a fire road. A ranger found me dehydrated, half delirious. They ran a full search of the ridge. Found nothing, no shelters, no tree, no bones. But they did find my brother's phone. Still charged, still dry. Sitting on a stone like someone placed it there. They retrieved the last photo taken on it. It was a picture of me, asleep in my tent, taken from just a few feet away.